You're in pain. I know. But what if I told you that very pain could be your greatest weapon? Would you believe me? What's breaking you today might be the very thing that helps you rise, stronger, more grounded, into the man she never thought you could become. Most men, they crumble after a breakup, heartbroken, begging, pleading for her back, but they forget one powerful truth. Pain isn't the enemy. Pain is power. The real question is, how will you use it? Right now, you're standing at a crossroads. 1. Let the pain drown you. 2. Or use it to transform into someone unbreakable. Stop. Think for a second. What do most guys do when she walks away? They text, they call, they explain. They believe that if they just say the right things, she'll come back. But love doesn't respond to logic. It responds to emotion. And the more desperate you seem, the more you lose your value. But a strong man, he does it differently. He disappears, not to play games, but to rebuild himself. He doesn't chase. He becomes a mystery. He becomes the man she never imagined she could lose. And when she comes back and sees who he's become, it's already too late. This isn't a game, it's a strategy. A silent war playing out in her mind. Every day you're gone is another day she questions her decision. Did I make a mistake? Why isn't he trying to win me back? Has he already moved on? You don't disappear out of anger. You disappear because you're being reborn. You're calm, collected, evolving. You're changing so much that when she looks back, she won't even recognize you. That's when the regret kicks in. The key? Turn your pain into fuel. Lean into Stoic philosophy. Keep your mind steady. Your emotions? Disciplined. You don't need revenge. You just need to grow into someone she never saw coming. She expects you to be weak. You rise. She expects you to be angry. You stay calm. She expects you to be stuck. You evolve. And when she sees you've outgrown her, that's when she feels the breakup pain, deeper than you ever did, if you're still here. And this Stoic mindset speaks to you. Help spread the message. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. Don't miss a single drop of this journey. If this video hit you right in the chest, drop a 1 in the comments. If you think it could be even better, drop a 2. I read every single one. Now, let's begin. Part 1. The emotional shift. Turning pain into power. Right now. It feels like the weight of the world is pressing down on your chest, like you're carrying grief in your lungs. Breathing hurts. Existing hurts. The memories, they won't stop. They loop endlessly. The way she laughed, the last time she looked at you, the things you said, the things you didn't say. You wake up with her name already echoing in your mind. You go to bed hoping you'll dream of something, anything but her. But what if I told you this pain, this deep soul-cutting pain, isn't your enemy? What if I told you it's your greatest weapon? Because here's the truth most men never hear. Pain is not here to destroy you. It's here to rebuild you. Yes, many men fall apart after a breakup. They numb themselves with distractions, booze, endless scrolling, temporary flings with people they'll forget the next day. They beg, they plead, they try to prove they're good enough, hoping, praying that if they say the right thing, she'll change her mind. But she won't, because emotions are not moved by logic. And the more desperate you appear, the more your value disappears. Now hear this. A man who lives by Stoic principles, he does it differently. He doesn't chase. He doesn't collapse. He doesn't hand over his worth to someone who left. He looks pain in the eye, and he embraces it because he knows this is his fire, his forge, his chance to become something undeniable. Picture a sword. It can't be sharpened without heat. It can't be forged without pressure, without being struck again and again. You are that sword. Right now, you're in the flames, and you have two choices. Let yourself burn to ash, or forge yourself into something unbreakable. See, pain is just raw energy. If you let it sit, it becomes poison. But if you harness it, it becomes power. So, the next time you miss her, don't sit in that sorrow. Use it. Do something for you. Hit the gym. Work on your craft. Build the future you once ignored for her. The next time you want to text her, drop and do 50 push-ups. Every time you feel weak, take one more step toward becoming the man she never saw coming. Because she expects you to break. She expects you to drown in heartbreak. She expects you to be the man she walked away from. But that man, he's already gone. Now, you're evolving, not just healing, transforming. And when she finally sees it, when she realizes you're not broken, but better, stronger, focused, out of reach, that's when the regret begins to haunt her. But by then, you won't be waiting. You'll be too far ahead. You'll have grown into a version of yourself that doesn't look back. Part 2. The cold silence. Disappearing and becoming a mystery. Silence after a breakup. It's misunderstood. They'll tell you silence is weak, passive, petty, immature. But they're wrong. Because true silence, intentional silence, is one of the most powerful weapons a man can use. See, when you vanish completely, you don't hurt her. You confuse her. She expected texts. She expected calls. She thought you'd try to win her back. But instead, nothing. No chase, no signs, no weakness. And that silence, it echoes in her mind. At first, she'll think, he's just sulking. He'll be back. Then, she'll believe it's some mind game. But as days turn into weeks, and you remain gone, the fear begins to whisper, maybe he doesn't want me anymore. Maybe he's really moved on. And that, my brother, that is when the shift begins. Most men mess this up. They say they're doing no contact, but they still watch her stories, still like her posts, still lurk in the shadows. That's not silence. That's invisible begging. If you want real transformation, you vanish completely. No calls, no texts, no watching her online, no checking mutual friends for updates. You erase your presence from her world. You become a ghost, an unresolved question, a chapter left open with no closure. And guess what? Unfinished stories haunt the human heart. When we lose something suddenly, without explanation, we crave it. We obsess over it. We start to reimagine it. That's where you live now. Not in her phone, not in her DMS, but in her mind. She starts asking, why hasn't he reached out? Does he still care? Has he already found someone better? And every unanswered question is a thread of regret being pulled tighter and tighter. But you're not watching, you're not waiting, you're working. You're building, lifting, growing, reclaiming your value. Because here's the cold truth. People do not value what is always within reach. If you're always there, you become invisible, predictable, replaceable. But when you disappear with intention, when you let your absence create mystery, when you become unknown again, she starts to feel the loss. She starts to question her choice. And by the time she wants you back, you're not the same man anymore. You've evolved, you've ascended, you've outgrown the cage she once put you in. So if you're in this phase right now, I want you to remember, silence is not surrender. Silence is strategy. Silence is how a man reclaims his power. Let her wonder, let her imagine, let her regret. Because you're not chasing her anymore. You're chasing the man you were always meant to become. Part 3. Unshakable. Mastering emotional control. The moment she walked away, she expected a reaction. Sadness, anger, desperation, even hate. Any emotion would do. As long as it meant one thing, you still cared. Because to her, emotion equals attachment. And as long as you're reacting, she knows she still owns space inside your mind. But what happens when you don't react? What happens when you stay calm, composed, unmoved, unshaken? That is when the power begins to shift. Most men, they crumble. They let emotions run the show. They send long, tear-soaked messages at 2 a.m. They check her profile 100 times a day, looking for clues, looking for signs, looking for hope. They lash out, say bitter things, or worse. They post photos trying to make her jealous, trying to remind her they still exist. But every one of those actions screams the same thing. She still controls their emotional state. She still owns their mind. But a Stoic man, he walks a different path. He feels the pain, yes, but he doesn't feed it. He doesn't act out of it. He doesn't worship it. He doesn't deny his emotions. He disciplines them. He doesn't suppress the storm inside. He masters it. This is when you bring in one of the most powerful Stoic tools, indifference. Now, don't get it twisted. Indifference doesn't mean pretending not to care. It means arriving at a place where her actions, or lack of them, no longer shake your core. Whether she returns or disappears forever, you remain grounded, unmoved, rooted in your purpose, because your life no longer revolves around her. Your identity is no longer tied to her presence. And here's where the psychological reversal begins. Because when someone expects a reaction and gets nothing, they start to doubt their own power. She hoped you'd break, but you stayed calm. She expected you to chase, but you stood still. She waited for your attention, but you vanished without noise until one day. She's not even sure if she still exists in your world. And that isn't just silence, it's power. Because when you become a mountain, unmoved by the storm, unshaken by her presence or absence, that's when her decision starts to haunt her. She begins to wonder, did I misjudge him? Did I just walk away from a man stronger than I ever realized? And by the time she understands what she lost, you've already built something greater. You. Part 4. Social shift. Becoming the man she can no longer reach. Right now, in her mind, she still thinks she knows who you are. She assumes you're the same guy. Still stuck in your old patterns. Still hurting. Still hers in some unspoken way. But that assumption, that blind confidence, it's your secret weapon. Because while she believes you're frozen in time, you've already begun your transformation. Most men, after a breakup, they hit pause, they sulk, or worse, they try to fake progress, posting party photos, forcing smiles, flexing their freedom, trying to spark some flicker of jealousy. But here's the thing, that's not the Stoic way. We don't seek revenge. We don't seek attention. We don't fake strength. We become it. We don't post to prove. We grind in silence. We transform in private. Not to show her what she's missing, but to build a life so rich, so full, that even we can't believe we once put it on pause for someone else. You don't upgrade for her. You upgrade for you. You change your environment. You chase new goals. You develop new habits. You surround yourself with people who elevate you. You focus on your health, your finances, your peace, your power. You become so busy evolving that you don't even have time to miss her. And that's when the shift happens in her mind. Because women, they're not afraid of you finding someone new. They're afraid of becoming irrelevant. She used to be the center of your world. Now she's just a chapter. Not the whole story, just a page that's already been turned. And even if she's not watching your profile directly, someone is. Trust this. Every move you make, every upgrade in your energy, your posture, your focus, it finds its way back to her. And when she finally hears about the man you're becoming, when she sees that she doesn't even recognize you anymore, that's when the regret sets in. Because now the question isn't, does he still miss me? It's, how did he go so far, so fast, without me? How did I lose someone like that? And once that thought takes root in her mind, she won't be able to stop chasing the answer. But by then, you're already gone. Not bitter, not broken, just better. Part 5. The power of indifference. No love, no hate, just no interest. The opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. A lot of men don't get this. They think that being angry, bitter, or out to win the breakup is strength. But the truth is, as long as you still feel anything, she still has power over you. Every reaction, even if it's negative, is a quiet message whispering, you still matter to me. And that right there, that's control, that's emotional ownership. But a Stoic man, he doesn't move like that. He doesn't chase closure. He doesn't obsess over the why. He doesn't waste energy on what's outside his control. She left? So be it. You don't resist it. You respect it. Not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to let go. Strong enough to not let emotions lead the way. Think about it. If you're angry, she knows you still care. If you're trying to prove something, she knows she's still in your head. But when you do nothing, when you live like she never even existed, when she becomes just another name in a story you've already finished reading, that's when the pain starts creeping in for her. Because women expect emotion, they expect noise, drama, chasing, a trail of tears and longing. But when none of that happens, when you show her that she's no longer significant to your world, that's when the doubt sets in. She starts asking herself, was I ever really special to him? Why isn't he affected at all? How is he already okay? And slowly, she starts coming back, quietly, checking your profile, asking friends, looking for signs, any clue that you still care. But by then, you don't. Because true indifference isn't pretending. It isn't cold-heartedness. It isn't a mask. It's a deep knowing that she was never the destination, just a chapter, not the whole book. If you've ever wasted your energy on the past, if you're done giving your power away, drop this in the comments. I owe nothing to the past. You don't need revenge. You don't need a second chance. You just need to keep living. Like she never had that kind of power over you in the first place. Part 6. The scarcity effect. Becoming someone she can't easily have. Here's a truth people hate to admit. We only value what we can't easily access. Right now, in her mind, you're still available, still gettable. Not because you're chasing her, but because she believes that if she wanted you back, she could snap her fingers and you'd show up. She thinks, If I text, he'll reply. If I flirt, he'll respond. If I need him, he'll still be there. As long as she holds on to that belief, she won't feel the sting of loss. She won't feel fear. She won't feel the weight of missing you. Most men fall into this trap. They stop chasing, but they stay accessible. They still reply. They still check in. They leave the door cracked open, just in case. They say things like, "Maybe someday we'll find our way back. You know I'll always care. I'll be here if you ever change your mind." Sounds sweet, right? It's not. It's weakness, dressed in hope. And it tells her, you're still waiting. You're still hers. You're still an option. But here's the rule. What's always available is never valued. If she thinks you're a backup plan, she'll never feel the finality of losing you. But the moment she realizes you're unreachable, unavailable, uninterested, that's when the real regret sets in. You don't just stop texting. You become scarce. You don't just delay replying. You go off the map. No replies, no likes, no presence in places she used to find you. You don't exist in her orbit anymore. And if she starts asking, if I wanted to talk to him, where would I even find him? All she's met with is silence. And that silence, that void, it creates craving. Because people chase what's hard to get. Scarcity creates value. Always has, always will. She used to take you for granted, used to believe she had access to you any time. But now, you're rare, distant, unattainable, and she starts to wonder, did I ever really have him? Why can't I reach him now? Have I lost him for good? That's when the breakup finally breaks her. Because you're no longer an option. You're not a fallback plan. You're not a man who waits. You're a privilege, something earned, respected, rare. If you're done being someone she can always reach, if you're ready to become someone she'll never replace, drop this in the comments. I am a privilege, not a choice. Don't cheapen your worth through availability. Let your absence become the one thing she can't stop thinking about. Part 7. Subtle reminders. Leaving a mark in her mind. Disappearing doesn't mean being forgotten. In fact, if you do it right, your absence will haunt her more than your presence ever did. Why? Because the human mind hates unfinished stories. It craves closure, and when it doesn't get it, it keeps circling back, again and again. Right now, she believes that if she stops seeing you, she'll eventually forget you. That out of sight means out of mind. But that's not how the mind works, and that's definitely not how a Stoic man disappears. You don't vanish in silence to be erased. You vanish to become a mystery. A question with no answer. A page she keeps flipping back to, wondering what she missed. And here's the beauty. You don't need to perform. You don't need to chase attention. You just leave subtle traces, quiet echoes of your evolution, small psychological triggers that live deep in her subconscious. Not thirst traps, not fake smiles, not look what you lost flexing. A real man just lives, fully, boldly, quietly. Maybe you post a photo, not for her, but for you. You're somewhere new, doing something she never imagined you'd do. You're not showing off, you're showing growth. Maybe a mutual friend says, he's different now. Not sure how, but something's changed. That's all it takes, just one seed. And her mind, she'll water it for you. Then it begins. She starts wondering, what's he up to now? Who's he with? Why does he feel different? And once curiosity sets in, you've already won. Because curiosity is power. It's the doorway to obsession. And once she's curious about you again, you're back in her mind. She starts checking your page, asking around, looking for signs that you still care. But all she finds is silence. No hints, no posts, no drama, nothing. And the less she can see, the more she needs to know. You become a blank space she can't fill, a mystery she can't solve, a story with no ending. But by then, you're not watching, you're not waiting. You've moved on, evolved, transcended the chase. Now she's not chasing you, she's chasing the memory of you. If you're done being forgettable, if you're ready to leave a mark that lasts longer than any message ever could, drop this in the comments. I became someone unforgettable. Live quietly, but leave a presence they can't ignore. Part 8, reversing the chase. When she starts to feel your absence, right now. She still thinks she has the upper hand. She ended it. She walked away. She believes you're waiting, hurting, hoping. And as long as she believes that, she won't feel the breakup, because in her mind, you're still available. But here's where the psychological shift happens. You don't chase her. You don't show up. You don't try to change her mind. You let her feel the void you left behind. Most men fail here. They claim they're done, but they still linger. They like her posts. They follow her stories. They show up where she might see them. That's not strength. That's emotional begging in disguise. You want to flip the power? You don't just disappear. You become unreachable, not bitter, not angry, just gone. And that's when the darker psychology starts working. Because here's the truth. Women don't feel the breakup when they end it. They feel it when their power over you disappears. At first, she's confident. She expects you to crawl back, to text, to plead, to prove she still matters. But then, time passes, and nothing. No texts, no signs. Just growth. Just silence. And now she's not so sure anymore. She starts asking, did I misjudge him? Why isn't he reaching out? Has he really moved on? That's when panic creeps in. That's when doubt begins to rot the edges of her pride. And then the chase reverses. She starts looking for you, starts hoping for signs, starts wondering if it's too late. But here's the twist. By the time she realizes she's lost you, you don't even want her back. Because in the time she waited for your return, you built a new version of yourself, stronger, wiser, unattached. Now, she's the one checking her phone. She's the one filled with regret. She's the one chasing. But you've become the man she can no longer reach. Because you don't look back. You don't chase the past. You don't return to what broke you. You keep moving forward, driven by purpose, not pain. If you're done chasing, if you're ready to become the one she can never get back, drop this in the comments. I walked away and she chased me. No revenge, no games, just peace and evolution. Part 9. The mindset shift from loss to liberation. Most men see a breakup as a loss. They feel like something precious was taken from them. Like without her, they're no longer whole. But that's a lie. A breakup isn't the death of something. It's the liberation of someone. You've been freed. Freed from illusion. Freed from emotional dependency. Freed from the version of you that believed you needed her to feel complete. The moment you stop viewing this as a tragedy and start seeing it as your transformation, everything changes. Here's the core issue. Society has lied to men. It tells you your worth is tied to being chosen, that your value rises if a woman picks you, that being in a relationship defines your manhood. But no, your value is not in anyone's hands. It comes from your discipline, your direction, your ability to stand tall, even in silence. When you shift your mindset from needing to simply being, from chasing to attracting, from losing to leveling up, you tap into a deeper power than most men will ever access. Ask yourself, why did I place my peace in her hands? Why did I allow my emotions to be so easily controlled? End that today. The truth? She didn't complete you. She distracted you from your purpose, from your evolution, from your power. And now that she's gone, you're finally face to face with the one person you've been avoiding, yourself. That's where most men collapse, but it's also where the strongest men are born. The pain is real, but it's temporary. The man you're becoming, that's permanent. You don't just get over a breakup. You rise through it. You don't seek revenge. You don't beg for a redo. You elevate. You outgrow the version of you that once believed he needed her to feel worthy. And when that realization hits, that no relationship, no rejection, no loss can ever take away your core power, that's when you become untouchable. If you're ready to let go of the loss mindset and step fully into liberation, strength, and self-mastery. Drop this in the comments. I needed this pain to find my power. This isn't the end. It's the beginning of a man who's no longer dependent, but free, powerful, and unshakable. Part 10. The final move. When she comes back, you're already gone. Here's the part no one tells you. If you do this right, she will come back. Not right away, maybe not next week, but eventually, regret always catches up. It starts small. A casual text, a like on an old photo, a meme she accidentally sends your way. It's never direct, it's subtle, like she's testing the water, seeing if the old version of you is still there. And in that moment, most men fail. They see the signal and they jump. This is my chance. I knew she still cared. They reply instantly. They open their heart. They're ready to give it all back. But that's the trap. Because here's the truth. She doesn't miss you. She misses the control. She misses knowing you were always there, available, software waiting, vulnerable. And the second you respond the way you used to, you erase everything you've built. But you're different. You're no longer the man she left behind. You're no longer waiting, no longer hoping, no longer needing. The new version of you doesn't seek validation, doesn't romanticize the past, doesn't give second chances to people who walked away. So when she comes back, the decision is yours. If you respond like a stoic man. Calm, cold, detached, no emotion, no bitterness, no longing, just quiet strength. A stillness that says, I've already moved so far forward, you can't reach me anymore. And that's when she finally realizes she didn't just break up with you, she lost you forever. Not because you played games, not because you hated her, but because you grew into a man who no longer fits in the world she once belonged to. She thought she broke you, but in reality, she built you. She awakened something in you that even you had forgotten. And now, you're not bitter, you're just better. If you're no longer waiting, if you're done circling back, if you've finally stepped into your power. Drop this in the comments. She lost me forever. You are no longer an option. You're no longer accessible. You're not hiding. You've simply outgrown the past. And now, she's the one who has to live with that. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do after a breakup isn't fighting to hold on. It's quietly walking away. No drama, no closure, no final words. Just silence. And letting that silence do the talking. Because in this journey, pain is no longer the enemy. It becomes the fire that forges you, like a sword in the flames, struck again and again, until it becomes sharp, precise, unbreakable. A Stoic man doesn't react. He doesn't beg. He doesn't spiral into desperation. He chooses emotional control. He chooses to disappear. Not to play games, but to become a mystery. One with no answer, no pattern, no weakness. And in that silence, your absence speaks louder than anything you could ever say, because when there are no replies, no signals, no traces left behind, you become unforgettable. You're no longer the man she once knew. You've evolved into someone she can't reach, can't read, and no longer holds any power over. You don't act out of revenge. You don't need to prove anything. You just live. A life filled with purpose, discipline, clarity. A life so full, so solid. It makes others wonder and never forget. And when she finally realizes that your presence has vanished from her world, you're already gone, not hiding, not waiting, just living in a new reality, where she no longer has a seat, because this journey, it was never about getting her back. It was about becoming the man who no longer wants to go back. It's a path of growth, of freedom, of self-mastery, so that when the past comes knocking, you don't open the door, you don't explain, you just smile and keep walking. You began this journey believing you had lost something. You thought that when she left, she took a piece of you with her. But now, you know the truth. She didn't take anything. In fact, she gave you everything. She gave you the gift of freedom, the wake-up call, the perfect opportunity to rebuild from the ground up, to become the version of you that doesn't just attract women, but earns the respect of the world, because breakups don't destroy men. They reveal them. They show you where you placed your self-worth, where you lacked discipline, who you depended on to feel enough. And once you see that truth clearly, you take your power back. You reclaim your mind, your focus, your drive. You don't need her love. You don't need her attention. You don't even need her memory, because you've mastered yourself. And when a man masters himself, he becomes unstoppable. Here's the final lesson. You never needed her. She was just a chapter, not the whole book. And now, maybe she's watching you. Maybe she's wondering, did I make a mistake? But the irony, when she finally wants you back, you no longer care. Because you don't live in the past. You don't turn around. You don't revisit old chapters. You've outgrown the version of yourself that once thought she was the one. So now, keep going, keep building, keep growing, because the man you're becoming, he's not waiting for anyone. If you're done playing games, if you've truly moved on, if you know in your bones that you've grown from the heartbreak, from the silence, from the choice to keep walking forward, drop a comment below. I am unstoppable. And before you go, make sure you like this video, subscribe to Stoic Station, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another lesson on your path to self-mastery. Stay strong, stay focused, and never forget, the power has always been in your hands, not in your past, not in your circumstances, not in what they did to you, not in who stayed or who walked away. It's in how you choose to live, every single day. See you in the next video, and until then, keep walking, like a man who cannot be stopped.